Welcome to another episode of Dynamic Diecasters, where this week we're actually going to start our Titanic build from Agora Models, which I think the originating model is from Hatchet Part Works. But with this episode, it's going to be issues 1 through 4. That's pretty different from all the other ones that I've done. Typically, the first episode is 1 or 2 issue stages for the build, but for this one it's 4. So just to go over the build in particular, since this is the first episode, Titanic, when I complete building it, will actually be 134 centimeters long. It'll be 14.5 centimeters wide and 22 centimeters tall. So it's going to be pretty big. They say it's going to be incredibly realistic with moving parts, working lights, smoke effects, and sounds. There's accurate details, obviously, in all these models, but there's photo-etched brass also. And the hull's metal, which I was originally going to do the Titanic that the Eagle Moss was going to put out, but a key difference in that one was that it was wood. I got like 3 issues before Eagle Moss went under. So that's kind of why I kind of switched over to this one. Because in my opinion, if anything got picked up in the Eagle Moss transition, it would not be the Titanic. I figured Ghostbusters, Ecto-1, the DeLorean, and the Enterprise would get picked up, so I kind of canceled anything else that I had with them. Because I had the Batmobile on pre-order also from the old Batman series, but that one could get picked up by somebody else. But this also will have a remote control that controls it, and then rotating propellers and a running engine. So it'll be very interesting when we actually start the build. It looks like gifts I'll receive as part of it, which I'll show you as I get them, will be a tin poster, a screwdriver set, I guess, to help me with building the model, and then a pocket watch. And then obviously binders will come with it too. But with that, we'll go ahead and get started on issue number 1. It looks like it's going to be I'll go into detail when I open up the magazine, but a lot of details in here about probably history of the Titanic. But looks like we'll be working on the forecastle first. So like is customary in all my other builds, I'll go through the parts at first, then I'll build it, and then I'll show you what it looks like on completion. These are a little bit different in that they're boxes, so it'll be interesting if they continue that way, because in other builds that I've done, they start out boxed and then they end up being bagged. So we'll see if this actual build continues with the boxes in the issues. So far on this one, I've received, I think, 3 boxes so far, so 12 stages. I think in another one, I think I just got the 3rd box. So the first part is going to be the deck support panel. Then we've got the wooden deck for the forecastle, which is right here. Then we've got the anchor, which a lot of the parts are in bags, so I may not go through all them specifically, like showing you. But it looks like the anchor is actually right here outside of it. They're all very tiny, so this is going to be fun. Then we've got steam winches. We've got 3 of them, which, looking at the pictures, I'm not sure. There's a bunch of parts bagged up in this, and then there's a bunch of parts bagged up in this. So we've got 3 steam winches, a small skylight, which might be under this piece. Not sure. Probably in this little white baggie here. Then we've got an air vent that is rounded, an air vent that is squared, 6 bollards, which are probably these pieces right here, based on the detail on the picture, a ventilation duct, 2 breakwaters, which are these pieces right here, and then a loading hatch, which was this white piece right here. Then 4 steam valves, and it says there's 1 spare, which are these in this little baggie right here. And then 4 capstans. I don't know if I said that right, but so with that, we'll go ahead and get started on this stage, and I'll show you what it looks like when we get back. See you in about 30 seconds or so. So as you can see, here's the completed part through stage 1. So we put the wood paneling on the top, and then we installed all the pieces. So here's the 3 steam winches, here's the vents, the anchors right here. We've got the 6 bollards. Then we've got the steam valves, which are right here, the hatch, and then we've got the capstans right here. So, and then obviously the breakaways, what were they called again? The breakwaters right here. So with that, I'll put that off to the side, and then we'll move on to stage 2 of the build. There's only a few pieces in this, but there are screws. Actually, I might want to look to make sure I've got the right stage, because it'd be interesting that they give me a stage with screws without a screwdriver. So I might have to look at which one's which over there. So yeah, I think it's actually this bottom one is the stage 2. So now we're going to begin assembling the hull of the ship. So, and these are, I can tell are metal. That first stage, that section was actually plastic, and you could actually tell it was very light. But picking up this one, it's the mass, it's a lot heavier. So the first part we're going to look at is the port hole section, the bow upper panel. And you can hear that metal piece. Then we've got the port hole section, bow lower. Then we've got the nameplate that actually says Titanic on it. If I can get it out of this is probably a plastic piece, yep. And then we've got the connecting panel, which that's also plastic. So the outer part will be metal. Seems like the connectors to the parts will be plastic. Like I said, they gave us a screwdriver. I don't know if I'm going to use this. It's very tiny. I've got better screwdrivers to use, but if I'm in a pinch, I might use it. And then lastly, we've got 6 AM screws, which I say one's a spare, so I would assume we'd be using 5 of them. So they're AM screws. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started, and I'll show you what we did when we get back, but it won't be very long because we're literally just putting that. And that's it for stage 2. Yeah, it didn't take very long at all. So literally all we did was we connected the top and bottom sections right here. And then we connected the connector to both of them to reinforce this section. So, and then we didn't do anything with the nameplate. So we'll put that off to the side, and we'll put this piece off to the side as well. And with that, we'll move on to stage 3 of the build today. It's the engine and the smoke generator portion of the build. So a lot of pieces in this one, which I was kind of surprised to see this many pieces this early. Normally, I mean, in all the other builds, if you guys have been paying attention to my other ones, there's a few pieces in each section. This one has actually quite a few. I mean, so but of course, it's a different type of engine too, so it's a boat engine. So it's just interesting to see stuff a little early on that you normally don't. So we basically got 4 cylinders of left and right cylinders in here. Have to look to see which one's which. It'd be nice if they were labeled somewhere, but I don't see that. I think I'm gonna have to go off of the look of the cylinders. This looks like the left side, so this will be left 1, and I would assume they would go left 1, left 2, left 3, and left 4, and then same thing with the rights, but this would be right 1, right 2, right 3, and right 4, because it looks like it's basically the other side of the side that I just said. But then we've got 4 piston rods, which it looks like are going to be these pieces right here. Then we've got 4 connecting rods, which they look a lot like the piston rods, except they've got hooks on the end of them, versus just what look like stoppers. We got the columns for the port side, which I'm not sure which ones are which. Let's see. They've got, looks like they've got screw holes in the, so these are the port side ones. So this is the connector columns for the port side. And then we've got stop plates. Jeez, where? We've got stop plate upper front. We've got stop plate upper rear, which it looks like the sole difference is these, the upper front and upper rear don't have clips on them. Like they just have holes in them. But the lower, the stop plate, and then we've got the crankshaft cog, which is right there. But like I said, the difference, the stop plate lower front and lower rear, they have little stopper or little hooks on them versus what the other ones do. The uppers don't. The uppers just have holes in them. They don't have these little hooks on the end. Then we've got the columns for the starboard side. Then we've got the crankshaft. And then we've got the smoke generator. So this will be what generates the smoke for the ship, I guess. Then we've got the tester unit. So this, I got to use batteries, it looks like, and then test that unit for you. So I'll be able to test that for you guys during the build today. Then we've got 9 BM screws, and then we've got 5 CM screws. And like I said, it also says we'll need 2 AAA batteries for the testing of the smoke unit. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and get started on the build, and I'll show you what we do when we get back. And that's it for stage 3. Like I was saying, it was the engine portion. So we installed all the cylinders at the bottom here with the port side and the starboard side engine pieces with the crankshaft, the pinions and the connector rods, and then the cogwheel. So now you can see it actually turns, right? The other thing that we did was we got so I'll put that off to the side. The other piece that we got was the smoke generator. So I'll show you guys how that works. I don't know how good it's going to pick it up on the camera, but the way they say is to put a wet paper towel down and then lay the smoke generator down with the wires from it facing upwards. And then press the button on the tester. After a few moments, you should see smoke coming up from it. And I don't know if you could see it on camera, but there is indeed smoke coming up right now. I don't know how good the camera is going to pick it up, but it is indeed smoking right now. It's just very minimal from the disc right in the middle. Like you could probably pick it up now. More's coming out now, so you might be able to see it. But that's pretty much all we did in this stage. We got the cylinders, the columns, and the crankshaft of the first engine assembled. And then we've tested the smoke generator. So I'll go ahead and take these batteries out, and all of these parts so far will be stored. Obviously, they're not being put in anything yet. And with that, we'll go ahead and move on to stage 4. Which this will be a lot like stage 2 was, because there's literally, it looks like a couple of pieces of probably the hull with the connector piece. Yeah, so it's more parts for the port side of the hull. So I'll go through these and then we'll complete the build and we'll conclude this episode. This episode really didn't take all that long. I didn't think it would be. Besides, a couple of stages looked like they had a lot of parts, but they didn't take as long as I anticipated. So the first part's the lower port hull section. Oops. And then we've got the port hull section, the bow lower right here. Then again, we've got a connector panel. So I can see as we're building up the hull, this is going to be a common thread. We're going to have a couple of pieces in a connector panel. And then we've got 6 AM screws again. So with that, we'll go ahead and put this together and I'll show you what we did at the end of this stage, and then we'll conclude the episode. See you in a few seconds. And that's it for stage 4. Actually, I didn't know we were going to do that, but we actually attached the 2 pieces we got in stage 4 to the parts we assembled in stage 2. So now this is what it looks like, and we also attached the nameplate right here. So through 4 stages, we did this whole section right here, which if you think about it, just tells you how big the boat's going to be, because this is like one section of the hull. I'm not sure how many engines there are, but this was what we completed in stage 3. And then in stage 1, if you remember, we did all of this. So that's it for this stage, or in this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. It's a nice departure from the other ones that we've done, and that I've been doing all cars besides the Enterprise at this point. So I've got a good, eclectic amount of things going on right now. So the next episode's going to be the last Star Trek build for a while, and then of dynamic diecasters, and then after that we'll have another X-Wing build. What will replace the Star Trek build will be a solar system build. And then we'll keep doing the X-Wing build until it's finished, and we'll be doing Knight Rider and Titanic Obviously in replacement of the Ghostbusters Ecto 1 build and the DeLorean build, until hopefully another company picks them up again, and then I can get started on those builds again. But in 2023, I know I'm looking at doing Optimus Prime. I haven't decided whether or not I'm going to do the movie version or the version that Agora Models has. But this, like I said, this is the Titanic build. I'll put the link to the build in the description on the channel. But with that, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Dynamic Diecasters, and we'll see you in the next episode. If you guys haven't liked and subscribed to the channel yet, go ahead and do that and hit that bell so you get notified when new videos come out as well. So for all of us at the Heart of Geek, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Dynamic Diecasters, and we'll see you in the next one. Have a good night.